Hello, friends. Uncle Marv here with another episode of the IT Business Podcast, the show for IT professionals and managed service providers, where we help you run your business better, smarter, and faster. And if you are listening to the shows in order, you will understand that, yes, even though I did just recently have a wrap up of what I thought would be a great money, marketing, and growth handbook, we still got more shows. And part of that reason is because we need to talk more about money and services and all that stuff. So I've got somebody to help me talk about that, specifically because we have an issue in our industry where most MSPs launch new services the same way you see a cool tool, slap a price on it, mention it to a food clients, and then wonder why nobody's buying. So hopefully today we are going to fix this. And welcoming back to the show, my guest you may already know from all of the accounting and MSP help that she gives, Rayanne Buchianico, owner of ABC Solutions, has spent years inside the books, PSA, and pricings of service providers. And we, I believe, are going to have the first opportunity to talk with her since she finished the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program, and would love to hear about that. Rayanne, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Marv. I love coming onto your show, and thanks for that amazing introduction. So
Well,
glad to be here.
is there an amazing ceremony video that we get to see of you walking either across the stage or up to a pedestal, getting an award or something?
As a matter of fact, it was streamed. Graduation was in New York City last week. I could talk for hours. I could gush for hours about this amazing Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program. Anybody that is listening or watching this show should go to 10ksbapply.com and apply for the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program. You will not regret it. Your calendar may regret it because it's a lot of time and a lot of effort, but it's a fabulous, fabulous program. Anyway, the graduation was in New York City, and it was streamed, and I believe it was recorded, but I have not yet seen the video. I'll try
Okay.
and get a copy for you.
All right. So, I know we need to get into the MM&G series, but I just got to ask this one question. What was it that actually, after all the years of being in business, being in our space, why would you want to apply for that?
Here's how it happened, and, yeah, like, I didn't even consider it. It was about a year ago, I went to the SBA, and I wanted to apply to be a woman-owned small business, um and one of the qualifying questions was, have you completed the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program? And I looked at that question and I said, why, no, I have not. What is this amazing thing? So off to Google. And then looked at the program and I saw that it's no cost to the attendee or the scholar. And I thought, well, let me give it a go. And it was right around the time when I was when I applied for Pitch It, right? So I think I did ConnectWise Pitch It application and the Goldman Sachs application. And I ended up getting accepted to both. So it was really a crazy year.
Wow.
Um,
All
uh,
right. So let's go ahead and get the pivot and see how much we can get in here. Of course, uh, we always know you to talk about money. We know you to talk about how to, get better usage out of your PSA. Um, but it was interesting where you come back with this perspective on, we're not either pitching or pricing or framing our services in the right way. So let's start with the mindset of that. Let's start with how did you come up with that and what made you decide to start talking about it?
So, one of the major takeaways I had from the Goldman Sachs program was the value in going through all of the individual steps when you're rolling out a new product or a service. when we start our business, we all know we have to write a business plan. Some of us actually write it. Some of us think that we should write it, but don't write it. But this program walks you through all of the individual steps that really make you step back and say, why am I doing this? Who am I doing this for? How much is it going to make me? And so and here's a perfect example. Yesterday I was on a call with a client and he had this great idea. He wants to roll out this AI solution to his customers. And he was talking to one of the AI vendors and has, you know, like they have this great plan. And I said, great, tell me about it. So he starts telling me about all of the features and the benefits. And I said, but what's it doing for the client? And he started talking about the features and the benefits. And I said, what problem are you solving for the client? Like they need to feel it. So I suggested we begin to analyze the entire offering. And and he thought I was talking about the pricing and the cost and how do I price these things. But what I really wanted to know was what is the value that this new offering is bringing to the clients, because that's what he needs to sell is that value, not the benefits, not the cost or the price. He needs to sell the value. And before he can do that, he has to understand it.
Okay.
My Right? So, before a customer is going to part ways with a dollar before the customer says, "Oh, here, please take my money," right? They need to feel this urgency. They have to know that, like, it there's a problem that they have, they don't know how to fix it, you've got the solution, and, they need this product. And that's where I think a lot of this AI solution and governance and acceptable use policies, that's where a lot of this stuff falls flat. And MSPs are out there really struggling to sell these AI services or packages because they haven't figured out how to tell the client that they have a problem and what that problem is and make them feel or see that problem. Am I making any sense at all?
Well, you are because, I mean, I think a lot of times we need to look at our services the same way that people look at life insurance salespeople. You know what? People don't just want life insurance, especially when you're younger. You know, I'm going to live forever. So those salesmen have a very hard time trying to convince young people you need life insurance because they're like, why? You know, and a lot of times that's the same as us. You know, when cybersecurity stuff first came out, we were like, oh, you need cybersecurity. Why?
Right.
Customers have to understand why. And, they know that they need computer repair. When it's broke, fix it. They
Mhm.
don't know that they need proactive service. We had to teach them that. They didn't know that they needed antivirus protection. We had to teach them that, or they had to have something happen where they're like, "Oh, I should probably get that."
Right.
AI is the other way though, because people see that and they can already formulate a need in their mind ahead of us because they are like, "Oh, I could do a better Google search with AI. Oh, I can make pictures with AI. Oh, I can make cool TikTok videos with AI." So, very good.
Yes, they can do that, and they can also craft letters and documents with sensitive company information with AI, and if they're not paying for it and it's not protected, then that's teaching AI to help other people, right? Like,
Yep.
that's the inherent concern, and a lot of companies are out there like, "Well, we're not even using it." Are you sure about that?
Oh, they are. They are.
Of course, they may not be, but their coworkers, their employees, anybody that's coming up with marketing, ideas and some of the graphics. it is not unheard of for somebody to upload a sensitive company document to AI and say, "Please analyze this for me. I need to write a report." Uh, and how do you convince your customers, your clients, the MSP? How does the MSP convince their clients that their sensitive information is getting out there without their knowledge?
Okay. So I guess the question now is, what's the practical step to do that?
Okay. So before you and anyway, and it could be AI, it just happened to be that yesterday's conversation was this one particular, but it could be any service, any offering, any bundle. How many times do you talk to the MSPs? And I know that you talk to tons of them every day. How much, like, "Oh, I'm considering redoing my service offerings. I'm considering bundling this, or I'm considering breaking up my bundles and doing it this way. And well, I did it that way, and now I'm gonna move back to this other way," right? Why? Why are you doing that? Is the first question. And so when you are taking your service, whether it's a new service or a rebranding of an old service, there are steps that you should go through, and this is gonna sound very hokey and very woo-woo, but let me tell you, Barb, this stuff works,
Okay.
right? First thing you have to do is assess the opportunity. What is the exact pain point, the exact customer pain point that you are solving? Like, what are you addressing? And exactly what is the product or service that you're offering? What impact will it have? How is not having that service impacting the customer today? What impact will it have once you offer that service? Right? Like can you define or quantify some sort of tangible change that they can see? And so what are the risks? You know, what are the financial risks that you're gonna undertake in order to deliver this new service? What about the operational? What's it gonna do to your team? What's it gonna do to you? Right? And who are you selling it to? Like, so step back a minute. And I know I'm going through this, but it's a podcast. So I'm trying not to drag this thing on forever and ever. But like, so step back from your service and who am I going to sell this to? Who's going to buy it? Why would they want to buy it? Are they your existing customers? Are they new customers? Is this a new service? Changing a service? What are we doing? And if it is a new service, go take a look at the market. You, who else is out there selling this same service? How are they doing it? Have you spoken to anybody that you want to sell this service to? And what's been their reaction? Like, and these steps, while you'll be like, "Oh my goodness, this is going to take me forever." Well, good, because you should not start just rolling out new services and then in 6 or 9 months wonder why, 1, you can't sell it, and or 2, why you've already lost a ton of money because you bought the shiny new tool, but didn't have a plan to implement it, really implement it.
Well, so most people aren't gonna have a plan until they have somebody to sell it to so they can actually lay out the plan, right? 'Cause a lot of us, we get a service and we're told by our vendor, "Hey, this is really gonna make your life so much better." Well, until we implement it, do we even ourselves know that? Which is, why it's great to have an NFR from a, vendor where we can actually deploy it ourselves. And
Right.
because I think that that's probably the best way that we can evaluate, okay, what pain is this solving for me that I can then tell my client, oh, I just, saved myself 40%, you know, of my time each day by doing this, or, you know, uh, you know, my complaints, my user issues went down 50% after installing this. I mean, those are the types of things that we can say. So, as part of your Goldman Sachs deal there, did you have like workshops, tabletop exercises? Like, how did you know, go through each of these questions? Because it's easy to say, "Well, here's a product. Tell me why."
Right. So there was an entire there was module after module of assessing the risks and who in your company is going to be the person, you know, uh, is your team trained on this new product or service, and how long will it take? You you should know the financial costs or the financial investment and the learning curve and who you can rely on. What are the risks that you're taking? Because some risks are worth taking, and some risks are like, I'm not sure that I'm going to get my ROI on this risk here. And that's exactly what this entire process is designed to do. It's designed to make you identify or think about, y- am I willing to part with this much money to make this happen? Oh, yes, I think that's a good plan. Um, and do I have a market of people to sell this to? Yes, I believe I can sell this new product or service to this group of customers. What is the learning curve internally? And is my team open to this change, right? Because sometimes if you keep changing or you keep changing your offerings or upping your prices or changing your vendors and do not only do your customers get weary from the changes on the invoices, but your team gets fatigue from having to learn this tool and that turn tool and all of these other new things. And you really should check with them because they're the ones that are in the field doing the work.
Hmm. So how much of that program were you able to directly input stuff from the managed services space, IT space? Because I imagine Goldman Sachs, they're huge. They deal with, you know, hundreds of different types of businesses. So a lot of what they say is kind of generic, even though the framework works. I mean, we all, want to be able to put together a business plan, make money, make profit, all of that stuff. But how specific were you able to get in making it relate back to what you do?
Oh, I had no problem converting the generic into the IT space.
Okay.
My my growth opportunity that I analyzed up backwards and forwards and up and down is procurement services for outsourced procurement. I think we talked about that about a year ago.
You did.
And I went through, and I thought about, all of the changes going on in the channel for the MSPs. There's a lot of M&A. A lot of people are, they're MSPs are out there. They are getting very tired of all of the changes and all of the, you know, so there's a lot of risk in the big companies coming in and buying up the little guys or the little guys just wanting to go home and not do this anymore. Maybe, sell it to somebody down the street. So there's a lot of risk for ABC if we're going to start this other service. And halfway through, I thought, okay, there's a lot of risk on my shoulders. And why am I doing this? Like, am I doing it for me? And how does this fit into my overall goal in life? And has anybody ever asked you that, Marv? Why do you do this?
Yeah, but they don't ask from that standpoint. You know, it's more of that ethereal, "Oh, how'd you get into tech? Why do you do it?" You must be super smart. And then that's all they ever say. Uh, but nobody ever really sits down and asks me why. I mean, do they ask you that?
Um, Nobody has ever asked me why I do what I do. And well, maybe they have, right? Because I was in tech for a really long time and I've been in accounting for a really, really long time. and I found a way to marry the 2, and and but I never stopped to say, "Okay, before I release or start promoting this new service, why am I doing this? How is it benefiting my goals in life? Not just the company's goals, not just my client's goals, but Rayanne's goals in life. What does Rayanne want for herself?" And that's a really interesting conversation because it even goes along hand in hand with the M&A conversation. You've been running your business for 20 years and now somebody wants to pay you some money for it. Now what? What do you do? Why do you want to leave it now? I'm tired. I'm tired of running the place. I'm tired of stomping fires. Okay. All right. Great. Then what? What do you do?
All right. So listen, I kind of did ask you that last year when we were going through the pitch it because I specifically said you've been focused on accounting and bookkeeping and helping MSPs for all this time. You were looking at this new service, and I asked you, why, and you said there was a need, in the industry for it. But here we are, almost a year later.
And I forgot that you asked me. I'm sorry.
Okay, all right,
But here we are a year later.
here we are. So, I mean, let me ask you. I mean, we're we're gonna go off topic. This is just
Sorry. That's okay. We don't have to go off topic.
well, no, because I do wanna ask you because you brought up that question of why. Because here's the thing, now that you've gone through this Goldman Sachs program, you have a new thing that you're talking about doing, and I wanna ask you why? Why do this as opposed to everything that you were doing, you know, with ABC Solutions, Sell My MSP, procurement? Here we are with something new. So why this? Why now?
Because this turns ABC Solutions into a strategic back office partner where, you know, where we can help the MSP manage everything. They don't have to go anywhere else should they choose to
Okay.
not go anywhere else. And this provides additional services for them and a cohesive partnership between ABC and our clients. And that that is my why, as well as to ensure that my team has the complete picture. The, if the accounting department has accounting only, and doesn't understand the PSA, the invoicing, the procurement, and all of the other things that go along with it, they're only getting half of the picture. But if they have all of the information, now they're in a better position to help the MSP make better decisions and grow. That's what
Okay.
I
All
do.
right. So now what we've just talked about in terms of, you know, setting the opportunity or framing the opportunity the right way, did this enhance what you thought you were doing a year ago, or did this bring something completely new that you hadn't thought about?
This gave me the tools to really analyze all of the steps. I'm actually building a workbook on this for MSPs to, should they decide to begin to offer a new product service, and they want to follow these steps. Because by doing this, you should know one, whether or not your new product or service will sell, how much you're going to make off of it, and then you can decide whether or not it's worth your time and money to invest. And so you should already know the outcome before you start. Even though you don't know what the tool here comes vendor number 364, right? With a shiny new tool. and and it looks cool, it looks pretty, it looks great. You don't know really all of the things that it does, but before you sign on that dotted line, do just a little bit of what am I what am I doing this for? And what's it really going to give us? stop listening to the salespeople and do a little bit of research.
Right.
I know
So,
that's a terrible thing to say because I love the vendors.
you know, listen, say what I'm there with you. I mean, I listen, I love a lot of the vendors in our space. I love the people. I love the solutions that they come up with. Part of the part of the problem is that there's so many, you know,
Mhm.
you can only use so many tools, first of all. The other problem is there are some vendors in the space and, that they're only sales minded first, if that makes sense.
Right.
They have a tool and they're probably in the same position that you're framing right here. They have a tool, like, "Oh, let's do this," without identifying, "Okay, is this really solving your problem? Is this really something that we can, market properly to clients? Is it something we can make money on
Mhm.
properly?" That sort of stuff. Uh, so I keep trying to figure out because I knew we were gonna talk about this, but I was like, "Okay, where does this actually fit?" This is not really a money conversation. This is almost, uh, the framework conversation where you need to know your business before you can market it. You need to know your business before you can go out and price your service. You need to, have all of this in place before you know the value of what it is that you're doing.
I
Mm.
agree.
Does that sound fair?
Yes, and that's why the marketing and because there's a whole marketing, digital marketing and selling, pitching your products or services. There's a whole formula about building the proper pitch as well, and that's a conversation for another day. Don't take
Okay.
it on that road. But, um, but the marketing piece has to come after all of this other assessment because you need to know what it is that you're selling and make sure that it's going to make money before you start developing your pitch and then placing it onto the market. And that marketing research is going to be where is the best place to market to whom? Who do you want to sell it to? And and I know a lot of people will understand this that customer persona. What does that customer look like? Who's your customer? How old is he? Where does he work? What problems does he have from one day to the next? You know, who is your target? And once you can define that target literally down to the number of kids they have and, what he fights with his wife about. But, uh, those
We don't need to know that.
no, no. But but yes, you're gonna draw or concoct the story of your customer's daily life so that you know who you are targeting, and you can address his problems the minute you start your conversation with them.
Mm.
It's really fascinating, Marv. I I cannot say enough about all of the things. Like, I've been doing this stuff for 30, we'll say 30 years.
Okay.
And, and I thought that I knew a lot, and sure, I can fix up your numbers and your PSA and all of those things, and I can tell you where to focus your attention and so on and so forth, but this this was truly eye-opening to me on so many levels.
Okay. So now I wanna take a step back because you've told us your why, you told us what you are hoping ABC Solutions becomes, the total operational partner and stuff. But I wanna go back to when you were just looking at the numbers, and then you decided to look inside the PSAs and all of that stuff. What was it that you saw inside, you know, for lack of a better phrase, inside the books of the MSPs? What was it in there that you saw that said, "Okay, this industry needs a very different kind of, I don't know, accounting partner, operation partner?"
So, it was back in the middle 2000s, and and I was running the, Tampa Bay SBS user group. You remember the
Okay.
SBS
Oh,
user groups,
yeah.
right? And we were in the Tampa Bay area, so there was only one PSA that would sell to us because there were only 2 on the market, and only one of them would sell uh, to IT people in the Tampa Bay area. And I learned how to connect it to QuickBooks. So I started working with everybody. I was like, oh, hey, I got this thing dialed in. Let me help you connect this PSA to your QuickBooks. And then when I did that, I saw their QuickBooks and I saw their balance sheet and I saw the way their P&L was set up. And uh, I I saw that huge gap. Like, there was sales and there was cost of goods sold, but most of it was down in the expenses. And I thought, okay, um, and then I saw the next one, and then I saw the next one, and that trend, it just kept perpetuating no matter who I saw. And I thought, this is where I need to be. This is how I got into doing accounting for MSPs because, like, I was them, and then at some point, I wanna say it was around 2009, 2010, I said, "I need to get out of, like, the general accounting tax person thing. My focus needs to be on MSPs and the channel."
okay.
That's how I got here.
All right. And then it keeps basically step by step getting you to where you are now. And so now you're looking at this whole idea of uh, teaching us how to evaluate and build a profitable service
Mhm.
before you launch it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And I'm going to put together this workbook, which will have not only the worksheets that you need, but also the instructions on how to complete it. And and of course, there's a huge financial piece in here because, you know, we have to forecast how much you're going to sell, how much it's gonna cost, and how you are going to pay for it. Like, you don't just get to sell an additional $700,000 of products or services without it affecting the rest of your operations. There has to be people to pay, there are costs, and those things need to be forecasted out as well.
Mm. All right. So you're working on this workbook. How long is that going to take? You are way too busy.
I know. Well, I'm already, 27 pages into it, so the foundation is there.
Okay.
It's a matter of going through each of the steps.
Bigger than a workbook.
It's yeah. Right. Well, maybe I can put together the instructions and say, "Here, go to this place and download the workbook." Um, and I've been rolling it out a little bit here and there with some of my clients as I'm helping them on one-on-one calls too. So
Interesting.
it's going over well.
All right. Has this been the biggest pivot in your business that you can remember?
No,
No?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Um, I would say that the biggest pivot was selling off my local tax practice and focusing only on the IT channel. That That was a scary one, and this workbook really would have helped me at that moment.
All right. All right. So before we run out of time, let me just give you an opportunity. Is there anything else uh, that's maybe, bouncing around in your head that you want to get out since I don't have a proper question to end this. So how would you
Mhm.
like to what would you like to say is the last word here?
I I don't have that scripted, but anyway, um, you by all means, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or Facebook or even email through my website if you have any questions, if you even think for a moment that you want to take a new service and bring it to market, but you don't really know how to do it, just just give me a call or pop me an email. I will happily answer your questions at any time.
All right. Well, folks, there you have it. Rayanne Buchianico, ABC Solutions out of Tampa, Florida. The website is abcsolutionsfl.com, right?
Correct.
I always want to say .net. But be sure to put the FL on there, folks, because if you don't, you'll go someplace else. You don't want to do that. The links will be in the show notes. Her LinkedIn profile will be in the show notes. Uh, I mean, she's out there. You see her everywhere. She's been on the show many times. So, Rand, thank you very much for squeezing me in
Well,
between.
thank you. Thank you for inviting me as always, and I will look forward to seeing you next time.
Yes. Who knows when that'll be, though?
I don't know if you're next time you're in town, make sure you give me a call.
Okay. You know, we'll talk off air. I do that, and then you're always busy. So we'll figure it out. All right. Well, it's Rayanne Buchianico. Thank you very much. Obviously, a new perspective now on how to approach services, opportunity planning. At some point, we'll talk about building a real pitch because she threw that out there. So that's going to do it. If you took anything away from this conversation, um, obviously, the first thing you've got to do is get crystal clear on the problem you solve, who it's for, and whether it's even worth selling in your business. Did I wrap that sound good?
That sounds that's a wrap.
All right. Thank you very much. That's going to do it, folks. Follow us to keep up with everything else that's going. We've got a few more shows here in the Money Marketing and Growth Month. Of course, there's all the other podcasts over on the website. That's going to do it. Don't just work in your business, folks. Build a business that actually works for you. We'll see you soon. And until next time, holla.